Welcome back. A bit of old school mechanicking today, as this Rover 216 needs a new exhaust gasket, and because my ramp is currently filled up with a car I can't move, it's a lovely day for old school jack and ramps. Let's get cracking. My cars, I've changed the cast iron exhaust for one of these stainless steel ones, which means I have a slightly different exhaust flange arrangement, which is why I'm using the insert I've got today. The old cast manifolds crack along here and you end up with a very slight bleed. So this is what a year's use to these cheap exhaust gaskets do. You can see they blow out completely, and just before each MOT I put a new one on. It doesn't take long. Front bolt is a little bit awkward. It involves a little bit of threading with both hands to get the washer and the spring washer on, and I've lost the spring washer, so we'll have to start again. So let's put a little bit of grease on these in an effort to make them stick, and let's try again. I've moved the front rad hose very slightly. Let's stick the bolt there because I don't need that at the moment. Right, so I've got the nut and the spring washer on again, and this time they're held on with the little bit of grease that I've put on them. And I've got the nut on the end of the thread. I've got to get that nut started properly because I can't get to it square from the bottom. It's very unnatural to spin a nut essentially the wrong way. I'm using brass nuts, so they've got to go on right. Right, so that's essentially the exhaust flange done up. Just got to tighten it up. Right, so there's an exhaust bracket here. So I've got some nice stainless nuts on there, which will tighten up beautifully. And then the exposed thread I cover with a stainless steel dome nut. That way the thread never gets a chance to rust. And then the exhaust studs, which are only brass, we're just going to put the 14mm on. Just tighten up. There you go, that's as tight as I dare take it. So I took the car for an MOT, which it failed. Having fixed the manifold gasket at the front, this pipe never seems to leak. But from here backwards, you can see there's quite a significant leak here. This is damage from about 6 months old, and so on and so forth. It gets worse. This box has already had a patch on it. This L-shaped pipe is actually not too bad, but it's obviously had a repair there. And then again, this joint at the back, there's been quite significant repairs there. There's a blow on the bottom of the box and a repair at the back. Surprisingly enough, this centre section, from my records, I think dates from 2009, and the back box dates from 2015. So in actual fact, they've done remarkably well. Sadly, the MOT man didn't agree, and I now faced having to replace the entire system to keep him happy and to get the emissions down. The problem is that while the back boxes are relatively easy, if expensive to buy, the middle sections can be bought, but unfortunately they're always for the cat-fitted cars that fit on here. My car is a pre-cat car, so it has an extra silencer here, and the pipe should extend to this front joint right at the front here. And that's where my problem is. I can't get those pipes, but I do have this Astra Mark IV box that came off a scrapped car that's got less than 3 months worth of use. So let's see if we can graft it all together and make a working exhaust for the Rover. First job, I suppose, is to get the old exhaust off. Right, so I've got the back box on. That connects up correctly here and is hung here. And then this central pipe fits quite nicely. But I've cut the pipe and the flange off here to allow this Astra Mark IV box to fit. It does reduce my ground clearance down to about 4.5, 5 inches. So it reduces about 1.5 inches, which is a bit of a bind, but never mind. And then at the front, we've got the original joint butted up to weld together here. So I've got to get that to join together. So I've got to weld here and weld at the other end of the box. So that's the welding complete, quite pleased with that. And the same at the front. Plus the fact that that front flange is now properly aligned. Let's get it back on the car. So apart from the front pipe and a slightly reduced ground clearance, we have an all brand new and unobtainable exhaust fitted to the car. Let's take it for a test run. So you can see it tick over. The car sits now quite happily at about 750 RPM, 800 RPM, very steadily. Temperature's good because I've taken it out for a very short run. If I rev the car, the revs drop back pretty much instantly to that value. They don't sit previously. They used to sit at around that sort of value, around 1250, and they wouldn't drop down to this sort of value at all. You can see now it's sitting right down nice and low. So hopefully that will solve the fast idle emissions problem, plus the fact You can barely hear the car if it's running outside because the exhaust is now a fully functioning new exhaust system. That's a lot better, no exhaust noise. So it's another job complete, this time on my 1990s Rover 216. Join us next time. Do like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.